actually purchased 3 of them, and I sold 2, and I've got this one left that I've used as a prototype for a lot of practice painting on skin tones. Well, this is the 4th time I'm going to paint this one, and I'm going to repaint those skin tones because when I first started, I used those apple barrel paints, the cheapos out of Walmart, and yes, they're okay for having fun, but they don't last. This is what happens when you use cheap pigmented paint. It tends to fade, it darkens, it turns chalky. In the end, all the work you invested and time you put into that project, it just goes bad, and it's time to redo it. Well, at the same time, I was also told that I should install a rechargeable battery, internal battery, to make this item light up. The first time I did this, I used ELLE wire. This time I am using an LED filament. And this is a hole that I created to not only exit the drill, but turn the drill bit the other direction to continue the canal or trench that I drilled for the wire that goes through the arm. And this is the positive lead, that's why it's the red one. And then I turned it again to drill into the actual torso. Now, because this filament is so delicate, I only have it here for show, but I am going to make another light test because at any given time that you are using any kind of electronics, you always want to run a light test to make sure all of your connections are good. Now here, I'm just going to crimp the LED filament to the red wire and then touch the red wire to the actual rechargeable battery. This is the same battery that I've used many times over. And yes, I will be using a 4056C board, rechargeable board, to recharge this battery and to light up the project. And I'll show you in just a minute what else I am going to do. So one of the leads is negative, one of the leads is positive, and that's on the back of this battery, and you just touch it and there you go. But as you can see, it is way too bright. We've got to tone it down. We leave that brightness, it's not only blinding, annoying, but it's going to burn out the LED filament. So these LED filaments have a tab on the end that is very difficult to solder. It's best to use a crimp connector like this. These are generally used for RC cars, and I got a set of them to crimp the edges or the leads on each side. Now the positive lead, which is here, has a tiny little hole on the lead. I can't show you because I don't have a macro lens, but this is what I'm going to attach that crimp connector to. I will have to cut it down slightly so that it fits all the way in. Once I crimp it, then I can solder that red wire to it and pull it through into the arm just enough to hide the crimp connector. I don't want to pull it all the way through because I want to have enough of that LED filament to create the effect. Obviously, I have already pre-drilled this out because this is a project that I've used 4 times over. Now, it's time to paint the skin tone once again. Let's remove the head and put it away so we don't damage the filament. Oh, by the way, this is all it is. You just turn the filament in to one hole and out the other, and those ports right there, those are actually Lego pieces that I glued on. So that just makes it a little bit a little more attractive, a little more decorative as far as the placement of it. Let's remove this big arm that looks like a chicken leg, and let's start painting. Now here it is all completely painted with now the updated skin tone. But we're not done. We gotta go in and use this tiny brush to paint in those green veins. Now because I used an airbrush and went over the other colors, I now have a 3-dimensional look as if there are other veins under the skin. This is the final product. I'm now waiting for the sealant to dry. I've got my green veins in there. I've added other orange skin tones. So there's a roughly maybe 6-7 different skin tones on this now. And I really like the way this turned out. Yes, I did repaint the hands, but the focus of the light is not on the hands. It's on the main torso and the arms, because that's where all of the color is. That's where the attention is. And no, I didn't fix the arms or hands on this. That's not the point. The point is to light this up and reuse product that I already have. If you remember this tank, it is from the HAZMAT Batman. And this is what I will use to hide the switch. It's hollow, so it provides an easy access for us to use on this installation. Now this is the light test that I did, again using that flicker effect on one of the lights or resistors that I recovered from one of the lights I broke. And in my opinion, it's just a little bit too dim. I had to darken down the lights simply because it just wasn't visible in a standard daylight. And I really wasn't happy about that. But in any case, I'll just have to switch out that resistor for another. So let me show you the daring part that you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to drill out the back of the figure, a circular cutout, so that you can fit that rechargeable battery. And if you don't have one of these bits, well, I do recommend you get a set. They're only about $12 on eBay, or you can get them off of Amazon. Just a standard drill is all you need. Very carefully cut out that circular shape. And as you can see, it's already designed not only to be circular, but at a specific depth. This is what you'll end up with once you make that cutout. And yeah, those were the shavings from this plastic. You want to have the wire coming from the arm underneath that, and you'll want to face the battery inward so that it actually shows or inputs the wires underneath that tab as well. Here's the two wires at the top. Those are coming from the battery. This is coming from the switch that I now hid inside that tank, and this is the lead from the opposite end. Oops, I forgot to add the black wire from the other lead. But let me show you the tank. Here it is. It is hollow. Take a look. This is where our black lead wire will go and hide our switch. It just snaps right on. And if you have this figure, you know that you can heat it up and separate it from the figure. And that's our switch right there. And that's going to hide the actual switch by covering it up. Great for the photos because you won't have to redo any, do any retouching, I should say. And I haven't glued it on yet. I've just drilled it out and pushed it into place by pressure. But let's move on to the project. I'm going to leave you now with some video of the finished product, painted and fully lit up. If you have any questions, let me know. Put it in the comments below. And of course, keep customizing, and we'll see you here next time.